Who's that something, yeah. I don't know the lyrics, yeah. Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to Monday, and my name is Evan, yeah. I don't know, is that Sex and Candy song? Smells like sex and Bambi, yeah. Saddest movie as a kid. When Bambi's mom dies, you're like, what the fuck? This is a kid's movie and it just broke my fucking heart. Yeah. Now Bambi has no parents. Yeah. Gonna get molested by now. Yeah. Gonna become best friends with Skunk. Yeah. Gonna do some weird shit with all the wood critters. Yeah. Just like that, I ruined your childhood. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Sounds weird in my headphones, but fuck it. We're gonna do it live. I can't read the fucking thing. All right, there we go. Ooh, yeah, now I can hear myself. My monitoring was off. Monitoring. That's a word for you cool cats and kittens. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We're just buying time. We're just like, what the fuck are we gonna talk about? I don't know why Bambi came up. I actually was watching a documentary yesterday because I'm super extinguished, sophisticated, we'll say. And I watched on Slenderman. Weirdest shit ever. These two girls kill one of or they attempted murder. She lived. Shitty little kids couldn't even murder her. They attempted murder on one of their friends because Slenderman told them to do so. Slenderman is this weird mythological creature that these kids have conjured up, and it's an internet phenomenon. And the parents, the dad was schizophrenic, and they didn't tell the daughter this. And so when she started showing all these signs of having schizophrenia, they didn't do anything about it. And one of the first things they saw was when they showed their daughter Bambi, and the daughter didn't react when Bambi's mom got killed. Hey, might be a red flag, not reacting to Bambi's mom getting killed. But instead, the little girl went, Bambi, run, save yourself. Okay, got a little serial killer on your hands, all right? Got to be worried about that. And then she was like mutilating her Barbie dolls. That ain't normal, you know? That ain't normal. But it was a crazy documentary. These two girls, literally, I think they're still in jail, hopefully. They're going to be like, hey, Evan, I heard your fucking podcast, you piece of shit. But they like murdered their friend over this internet phenomenon, this Slenderman. I think there was a movie about it also. And it's so weird that it's just like a phenomenon. And it's like among kids, where all these kids think that this Slenderman person is real. And they're all like creating their own little cult on the internet. It's all over the world, Japan, everywhere. And it really was illuminating because your boy's a deep thinker. Whether you like to admit it or not, your boy likes to think, okay? Be a thinker, not a stinker, as Apollo Creed used to say in Rocky 1. But I was like thinking about it with this show, this documentary, that people are so gullible, especially the young minds, kids, that they would believe something on the internet so hard that they would actually take action with something like killing one of their best friends because they thought that's what Slenderman would want. Granted, these kids had some mental issues, but still, there was a lot of people around the globe that were supporting this and actually believed in this and creating like a cult. And I feel like it's so dangerous because we do that with a lot of shit, where we like divide people and give people a home and place of feeling part of something. And it's like, it's dangerous when it's with the wrong thing, you know? Because then you get kids trying to stab their own friends and shit because Slenderman told them to. Another thing is they didn't tell their daughter that Santa Claus wasn't real until she was like 13. Okay, kind of an issue. Because you know what happens when you keep your kids sheltered like that far, where they think Santa is real when they're 12 years old? They believe in magic. So, of course, she thought Slenderman was real because, okay, when you hit like 12 years old and you think there's some fat dude coming down your chimney eating cookies and he's magical, you start believing in magic. Like your brain starts cementing these ideas that the mythological world is real, you know? Wild. You can't shelter your kids like that. And you know what else is crazy that I've realized, or that I learned, kind of related, is that, you know, when you're younger, maybe even now, you're afraid of the dark. You know, when you like run down the hallway and it's dark, you just feel like something's going to grab you. That's like some genetic shit still in your DNA from like the days we lived in a jungle and forest. If you're a Latin person, you know, my dad used to live in a fucking jungle. More like a forest. It was actually a forest in Puerto Rico. They had dirt floors. How crazy is that? My dad was born in a house with dirt floors. I don't even know if you can call it a house at that point. Hut. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, you have all these weird shit in your DNA, like being scared of the dark and things underneath the bed, because of our ancestors that like had to be worried about panthers and shit. So like the dark represented a real threat. And now we got these like modern meat wagons in modern society. So we don't have those, but our genetics haven't caught up enough in our DNA information. So we still think that there's something scary in the dark. So we were just like, it has to be a fucking demon. It has to be a demon. It's not a panther, you know? It'd be pretty wild if there's a panther indoors. It's actually pretty crazy because when I first moved to Ventura, there was a panther, a mountain lion on the loose. And I just kept thinking, how fucking nuts would it be if I went out on my patio at night and a fucking cougar was right there? And I ain't talking about some older lady ready to give me the goods, you know? Because, you know, it ain't my first rodeo. I'd be like, listen, cougar here, okay? You know? You're not welcome here, okay? Because your depression is going to get all over me, all right? We are so all over the place. Speaking of cougars, she's not really a cougar. She's more of just an older lady. This weird thing has been happening. And it happened, I think I talked about this once before on the podcast. I talked about how I live across from a park, and there was this lady that I would see walking her dog, and she would be kicking over signs and pulling signs over. The ones that would say, and I went and saw them, I don't know if I updated y'all, but they would say that you had to wear a mask and the social distance at the park. I don't know, it was like recommended, wear a mask, but social distance and blah, 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 and just wash your hands. And I saw this lady with her dog. She was walking around the entire park, just pulling the signs down. And I'm just like, that's so weird. I don't know what this says. And then I saw after what it actually said. I shit you not. I saw her Saturday night, I believe it was. Yeah, it was Saturday night. I'm going out, you know, Beowulf's got to take her nightly piss before bed, you know, can't have her pee in the bed. Her own bed, she has her own little bed off the side of the bed, comforter and everything, spoiled ass dog, takes everything for granted. Anyway, I go out there and I'm watching and I see this lady, same lady, she's walking across the street, she's on the sidewalk near the signs, and I look and she pulls one of the signs down. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like literally looking at her doing this, that she's still doing this. And since I know that they just say, wear a mask and social distance, I'm like, why are you knocking that over? So I call my girl, hey, come look at this. Remember that lady I told you about? I think she's going to do it to all the signs. And then my girl comes out and we're just watching like a couple of raccoons in the dark, watching this lady do this. And then I watch her kick the other sign over, and I literally couldn't help myself. I just go so loud. I go, wow, so cool. And my girl's like, shh, shh. And then I literally was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is some weird shit. This is some weird human shit. I watch her go over to the other one across the park, and I can tell she's pissed, and she's probably a little embarrassed because I did that. and she Sparta kicks this sign over. The most aggressive front kick, like she probably trained 15 years of karate for this one moment where she just, this is Ventura, kicks that shit, knocks it completely over, violently knocks it over. And then she keeps going about her business, going down to the next sign to kick over. And she has her little dog with her, and her dog's probably like, what the fuck are we doing? Why is this part of our ritual? And I don't know why people do the things that they do. It's the same thing with people who don't want to wear a mask, like the weird conformity thing. It blows my mind when people pick certain hills to die on that just don't make any sense. Like, it's just such a weird thing. I didn't even want to get into the mask thing. And you know what? We're not, because there's bigger fish to fry right now. And I wanted to send my condolences out and rest in peace to Mr. Regis. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire passed away this weekend. Heartbreaking stuff. Regis, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Listen, I think everybody wanted Regis to be their grandpa. Like, he just seemed like the sweetest dude. He seems like part elf. I get that. Like one that works he seems like the nicest elf that worked on the North Pole, you know? Just a sweetheart of a guy. And what I love about it is that he's one of these people that you never heard a bad thing about. That he was just, you know, a good dude. And he was around for so long. Just a genuine person. And before anybody attacks me, I don't know if he was really a perfect person, but he was a positive aspect in my life. I used to love watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That show would get me. Dude, I would always want to be on that show. I would play it even as an adult. I used to have the app, and it would like read stuff out. It'd be like, da-na-na, da-na-na. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? That was such a good show. Such a good show. But rest in peace, Regis. You know, I know you're up there playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with Jesus and all the angels. Or wherever. I don't know. He might be in hell. Anyway, moving on. What else is going on? I'm dressed like I'm trying to be like from NWA. Like wearing the hoodie, the black hat. This style. I like how I have Organic Originals hat right next to the Organic Originals sign. I'll be honest, this set has to evolve, okay? I've gotten complacent with it, and that's the thing about me, baby. Constant state of evolution. So we're going to be working on this more, getting this to represent the show better, okay? Maybe we'll put some insides of Evan up there, huh? It's like 7 minutes in Evan. Well, what's the inside of Evan all about? We're going to find out. Fuck around, find out. I started watching this show Alone. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. Season 6 is on Netflix, and it's an amazing show. This is one of those shows, I'm happy that I'm starting on season 6 because they've worked out a lot of the kinks. I'm really into these kind of shows. Like Life Below Zero, one of my favorite shows of all time. Except with that show, the earlier seasons were the best because they just had so much new stuff to work with. But this show, it looks like they've figured out a lot of it. And I need to go back. I'm watching season 6, and then I'll go back and I'll watch the earlier seasons. But amazing show if you haven't seen it, on Netflix. And it's about these basically survival experts, and they drop them off in the Arctic. And they basically say, kick rocks, kid. Here's a camera, and good luck. And they basically have what Survivor Man was. That was like the original OG Survivor Man. He would take the cameras with himself, and he would go live in a place for like 10 days. And he would film it all himself. And it was all legit because there was no cameraman. You know, I'm sure other people know who Bear Grylls is. And maybe Bear Grylls was like, you know, showing some cool shit that you could do. But word on the street is that he would like go stay in hotels and shit in the night and pretend. He would like get in his fucking tent, and he'd be like, okay, we are going to try to stay warm through the night. What I have done is in out there on the French tactic of I have pissed into this bottle and I'm going to keep it near my body for warmth. So he would like show all these tactics and things that he would do, but then as soon as they were like, all right, cut, we got the shot, he would be like, fuck, mate, let's get to the Holiday Inn before the restaurant closes. I want some fritters. I don't know why I chose fritters, but it just is what it is. So he wasn't really the real deal. And that's what I kind of liked about Survivor Man, is because he was out there just rocking it in the free world, It was the real deal. Just like this show. There's no cameraman. There's no there's a couple things I smelled bullshit on a few of these survival shows where I saw in one episode, I forgot what the name was, but it almost seemed like a couple times they would be like, yeah, we're going, hunting for a bear or something like that, or some kind of animal. And then out of nowhere, an animal would just show up. And I'm like, that thing looks domesticated. Like if it was a bear, it just looked like a circus bear. Like it would be looking at the camera and it'd be like, and then they just fucking shoot it. I'd be like, I think that was a trained bear, and it got duped. They hoodwinked that bear into getting shot on live camera. They were like telling it, no, this show's about you. So we're studying you and just kind of a reality show based around a circus bear. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get some close-ups. I'm very excited about this. And then they fucking let it go into the meadow and they just shot it dead. But there was another one where I watched them fishing at night, and the dude wasn't catching anything. And then I think they were like, we got to get some shots of you catching fish. And I remember he pulls in a fish. He's like, oh my God, I got it. And your boy has been fishing his entire life. He knows what it looks like when people are catching fish. But he's weirdly shaking the reel in his hands. Like it looks like someone pretending that they have a fish. And he pulls it in, and the fish is dead. But not only that, the fish is already filleted. It was still on the pole and filleted. And I was like, what the fuck? Are you joking me right now? And maybe they didn't show it that he filleted it while it was still on the hook, or they bought that shit from your local Albertsons and then put it on the hook. And we're like, we need to throw this out, and then we're just going to film you catching it and then pulling it up. And it was filleted. So fuck that shit. And that's the thing with me. As soon as I smell bullshit on a show, I can't watch it anymore. It's like a baby bird when a human's touched it. I'm like, the parents don't want it anymore. Get it out of my nest. That's your child now. That's your baby bird. Okay? That's how I feel about shows. And from what I've seen so far, granted, I've only watched a couple episodes, but this show alone is amazing. And it shows them catching stuff. Dude, I don't know what it is, but when I watch a show and they catch food, or they build a fire, or they have shelter, it makes my willy tingle, I love it. It makes me so happy. And that's what you're seeing in this show, is them really having to find shelter, find food and water, catch fish. And you see it. They'll be fishing for like 6 days, and then you see the excitement of someone who's been fishing for 6 days without food and then catches one. There's one of the guys, Donnie. This dude is diesel, and he's just a burly man. Looks like he was made for the forest. He gets a muskrat, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to ruin it for you. But you probably shouldn't eat muskrat. Listen, it's probably not a good idea to eat anything called a rat, okay? Feels like it's just going to fuck up your stomach. But you got to watch it to find out. My whole idea, and that's the thing, is it's like 10 people. They put them on this show. They all have their own cameras. They're all filming it in the Arctic. All dropped off in different locations, different cons, different pros, different challenges. And they just see who can survive the longest. And whoever survives gets $500,000. Your boy would be on that show so fast. I would love to do it. Alone, if you're watching this, I'm ready to go alone. You know what I'm saying? I do this podcast all alone. I'm not lonely. I was fucking homeschooled as a kid. You think darkness is your ally. I was born in it. That's what I think is funny about people, like when they ask me about the pandemic, like how I'm holding up, I was homeschooled, okay? It's almost like I was made for a pandemic, all right? Flourishing, living my best life, not having to see any of you fucks anymore. I'm just kidding. I actually really miss people. So, I would like the world to get back to some sort of interaction. But until then, so long. But watching this show alone, I wonder, how long does it take until you're jacking off in your bush? You know what I'm saying? Because it's going to happen. Like, you're out there all day. Like, are you waiting a day? You're probably waiting at least a day or two. I say 3 days. 3 days tops. And then you're just like, well, there ain't nothing much else to do right now. Because you're going to do it just as a hobby, At that point, it's just a hobby. You're just like, well, I already got the firewood. I already sang some songs. If you bring a harmonica, you can only play the harmonica a certain amount of times a day. I just feel like that's going to happen. And if I had someone on that show to interview on here, I would ask them. I'd be like, all right, well, how long did it take? And how often? But then I wonder also, is like when you go into the survival modes, is that just like that function turns off? I don't believe it does. It's just like stretching in the morning. Not for me, I'm talking about for them. Anyway, I think that's all we can do and talk about with the show alone. So I highly recommend it. I saw that Doja Cat tested positive for coronavirus. My first question, who the fuck is Doja Cat? This is how I know I'm getting older, because I'm losing grips on who the cool cats are in the world, no pun intended. But it's like there are so many weird, like the internet changed celebrity completely. It changed music. It changed everything to where you no longer need, and I'm not saying it's about Doja Cat because I don't know who this really is. But you don't need talent or hard work to be a celebrity anymore. Like, you can make millions and millions of dollars online if you just tap into a certain frequency that for some reason people want to give attention to. It's the craziest thing ever. I saw it was like a scandal going around, but it's like the biggest TikTok girl. I forgot her name. Emily something? I don't know. But has like 26 million followers on Instagram. All people are doing on TikTok is this. Now want that grr. It's the weirdest shit ever. And they're making millions of dollars from it. Meanwhile, there are people who are like dedicating themselves to their craft, like their entire life. And they're living in like a studio apartment and are just wasting away, dedicating themselves completely to an art form. It's the weirdest shit ever. And I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing, It seems like idiocracy is where we're heading. It seems like a lot of what people tap into is an easier frequency. And I'm guilty of that too, in the sense of what like input and excellence and dedication into an art form or some form of entertainment doesn't necessarily mean you get the exact amount of output or reward. Like the reward doesn't match how much has gone into it. I think that's crazy. With like for example, I don't listen to the fucking orchestra. It's beautiful and I can like appreciate it, but I'm never gonna go to like an orchestral, like a performance. I mean, maybe I would, but it would have to be like Star Wars themed or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. Like, it better be a dope ass mashup of all my favorite theme songs like that, like epic orchestral performances with like some lights and shit. I'm a fucking goldfish. You got to have like the actual like live action playing and everything. But I think that's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the way we are as like a society where we just dumb it down. We want things easier. We want things to be digestible. So weird. I don't even know how I got there. Oh yeah, Doja Cat. But I guess Doja Cat said that this was just the flu. and then she got it. And she was saying that she didn't even go anywhere. She was saying it was Postmates. I think, to be honest, like, it's not a big deal if you test positive anymore. I know a few people who have tested now positive. Remember when it was crazy when, like, celebrities were, like, when Idris Elba tested and then fucking Tom Hanks tested positive? That's when we were like, oh shit. It would boost your career. You're like, you were going to make the news. Now you have to, like, die from it or get canceled to even, hit the news at all. Another wild thing, and this is something I was talking to my girl about a couple weeks ago, is that I feel like if there was ever a time that we would be okay with aliens existing, it's right now, where it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And I feel like that's what's happening. The Pentagon released basically confirming everyone's suspicions for years. There was that dude that was on the Joe Rogan podcast recently, and they were talking about how he worked at Area 51. I think it's this conversation with Joe Rogan is what spurred this Area 51 invasion. Remember when they were going to storm Area 51? It was this conversation about how the UFOs are real, aliens are real, and all this stuff. And the Pentagon, the government, came out for years saying, no, it's not real. Turns out it's real. And they confirmed that they've had UFO footage and sightings for years. And they can confirm that it's not, that it is definitely extraterrestrial. And that's nuts. And for some reason, everybody's not talking about this. Like, that's how wild the world is that everybody is not talking about this. Aliens are real. And I think they're going to come. Giggity. I think they're going to take over. And you know what? I'm kind of for it. Okay? I'm kind of for it. You can say what you will about me, but I think aliens do need to come down and kind of organize this shit a bit. Because we've gotten a little wacky. I think the human race has got a little wacky. I think that but here's the thing, is they would wipe us out. We wouldn't even get to the point where we could be cool with the aliens, because there's so many people that, like, don't even want to conform to wearing masks and have their own conspiracies about it. They're going to start conspiracies that the aliens are here to enslave us and all this stuff. And they're going to fight against it. And aliens are like, dude, listen, we come in peace. We don't need your bullshit planet. Yeah, I started going down a different rabbit hole in my own brain about people with the mass conspiracies. But I really do think aliens would come down here. They would be trying to help us. We would be like, conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy. Someone would try to have sex with an alien. Alien would report it. We would try to Me Too an alien, basically. And the aliens are going to have to wipe us out. They're like, well, look, the risk doesn't outweigh the reward of helping these creatures. Because the second that they get any kind of advantage over us, they're going to enslave us. That's what they're going to look at. So they're going to look at our history. And they're going to look how we handle our own history with people tearing everything down. They're going to be like, yeah, they can't. We can't let them get our technology. They're not leaving Earth. Oh, man. So crazy. We're in such a weird place in the world. And maybe it's just because everything's connected. Like, that's the thing, is all these people with conspiracy theories and everything, they've been around for years. People like anarchists who want to tear everything down, they've been around for years. I think the only thing that changed is situations have become like mainstream to where all these people become involved in all of our current narrative. Like the anarchists, and they're like, yeah, they're getting involved in different movements and stuff like that to keep pushing their own agenda forward. When I said it, keep pushing their agenda, isn't it crazy that kind of sounds like a conspiracy when you say they're pushing their agenda? I don't know why that just goes hand in hand with conspiracies. It's pretty crazy. I think that, I don't know. I think aliens are real. I think Elon Musk is an alien for sure. The way he like calculates shit when he's talking, I'm like, oh, this dude's for sure an alien. And I'm good with it. If aliens came down and they were like, look, we want to take you across the galaxy, your girl can come, your dog can come, what do you say? And I'd be like, show me the world, show me the universe. I want a laser gun and I want a lightsaber. Okay, and I'm ready. And I would want to change my name to Skywalker. Not even my last name. I would want to be Skywalker Lopez, because I still have to represent my Puerto Rican side, you know? Yeah, you can take Evan. Okay, I'd have to change the name of the podcast. I'd still do my podcast. I'd get so many more views and downloads if I was just talking about alien shit. I'd be like, yeah, we went to Gorgonzola today, and we vaporized their species. Ate wombats and shit. I think wombats are on Earth. God, that's terrible. Yeah. The Earth is wild right now. The Earth is wild. I don't know what's going to happen in the election. I don't know what's going to happen in November with, I think people are starting to understand that we kind of got to pump the brakes on being so divided. And it's like, we have to get a grip on the conspiracies and everything that people are focusing on. I mean, maybe it's just my circle that I kind of look at, the test group where I kind of judge a lot of stuff off of. And I've had to pump the brakes on that because I realize that other people are having a completely different experience where they're just like, dude, our social medias are completely different. So I understand that, and that gives me hope because, maybe it's by nature that I follow a lot of entertainers and people in comedy and, man, I don't know. I just see a lot of stuff that people are only dividing and I feel like it's dangerous. But I feel like a big portion of that are starting to realize that we can't be divided and that we actually have to do research on topics, because I think it's going to be dangerous. If you start following blind things, if you start following things blindly, it gets dangerous. And you get things like, to wrap this all up, the Slenderman girls, where you start believing a narrative so hard. And I know those two different things, but there's a lot of people that they start believing a narrative so hard politically that they're willing to do some pretty crazy shit just to protect what they think is true. And you see that a lot in politics. You see people demonizing other people in the name of something they think is true. Whether that the media has them believing a certain side or whatever it is, whether it's your family influencing you, your friends influencing you. Somewhere along the line, you have to start being a free thinker and questioning what everybody is doing. Whenever I see the majority of people reacting in a certain way, and even if I feel myself being pulled emotionally in a certain direction, I have to stop and run it through the mill of, valid questions and research before I act on things. Because I'm like, if I'm being it almost like you feels like you're being pronged or prodded to react a certain way, gets you agitated, so it invokes some kind of passion that blinds your rational thinking. I always have to stop and be like, okay, let me try to figure this out. Let me sleep on this. Let me really try to think and see, why would someone want me to think this way? And I think usually it comes back to people have their own agenda and their own narrative that they're trying to push. And that can be dangerous. Like, I was just seeing this thing on the news, shout out to Texas, where a protester got shot and killed by someone, who they surrounded their car. And this person who got killed had an AK-47 around their neck, and they were approaching a car. And the gunman, the person who killed the other person, said that they were pointing their gun at their car. People get into certain situations because they've been invoked by what they think is the right side of history. And a lot of people get emotional and they think, we have to do this and we have to do that. You look at a lot what's going on in Portland, and it's pretty nuts. And you start seeing these headlines, and whether you want to admit it or not, there's a very liberal bias with media, okay? And they like to word, oh, who is it? I don't know if it's NBC, but there's literally political people who own these networks, and they own the parents company, you know, where they literally own the media, and they want to paint certain pictures and twist words to create a narrative to influence elections. And when you see things in Portland where peaceful protesters are being gassed and peaceful protesters are being beat up, and then you see stuff in Portland where they're just, for over 50 days, they've been tearing down any federal statues, burning the federal courthouse, the library, everything. They're doing so much damage to federal property with no agenda. They're just trying to destroy. I've used agenda so much in this episode. With no agenda other than to lash out. And there's like these people who, a lot of them have like trust funds. And they're just these kids who are either just lashing out because they're upset with life and they think they're on the right side. They finally feel part of something. And they're just ripping apart our society. I really think it comes down to that. When you see people just so much rioting and protesting, and they don't know exactly what they're doing it for, and they say they know what they're doing it for. But when you see only one side of the picture getting painted in the media, it's easy to just say, look at these piece of shit cops. Look at what they're doing. Oh my God, federal officers. When in reality, we don't know the full picture. And it's not as easy as black and white. No pun intended. But it's not as easy as black and white when it comes to what's the right thing and what's the wrong thing. I think it's a bigger issue than that. You like how my voice got so gravelly? But that's all the serious talk for today. You know, we're going to be doing some fun things this week. I'm going to be filming more of the short film I'm working on. Been writing it out. That was just a teaser I put out. You know, I'm excited to be doing more film stuff, more entertaining stuff, and more cinematic shit. You know, I've kind of gotten away from that a little bit, and I want to start putting more of that stuff out. And I hope you have a good week, okay? I hope you make some money. I hope you tell someone you love them. I hope you take a step in the right direction, okay? Because that's what it's all about, okay? No matter where you're at in life, you're struggling with some shit, just keep moving forward, all right? Just keep trying to become that person that you would be, that the version of you today would be proud of, okay? We've all been in that dark place, baby. We've all been there. And you know what? You can get out. You can get out, all right? You can get out, and you can get 7 minutes in heaven. Get inside of me, all right? Remember, no matter what, I love you.